Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all for being here. We'll go ahead and get started. Um, Today's main purpose, we've got a couple different things we're going to cover, but a big piece of it is just kind of having a good discussion and conversation around the feedback for release 4, which was focused on reporting within the system and dashboards within the referral piece. So the information that you all may be reporting on most often, the things that are going to be the most useful for you. And we completely understand this might be something that continues to develop as you use the system more. But definitely wanted to make sure that we got your feedback for this first piece as well. So once this goes into a more pilot program or live state, that the reporting is useful. So we will go ahead and get started. After that, we have a minor or a little bit of the part of the session, we're going to look at some mock-ups with Natasha. So based on feedback from, our more adding a customer side of the system, adding referral side of the system, we already have some things going into development that we wanted some of your initial feedback on. It's not quite in the system yet, but had some follow-up questions for the most useful pieces there. And then we will talk a little bit about kind of next steps within this process and what you can expect from the next couple months out of this project and this work group, especially as we move into piloting this and then, what that next few weeks of work looks like. So we will start then with just the check-in piece. So thank you to all who came in here and gave us some information on reporting and what you would like to see. We've been able to create a few user stories because of that. So let's see, we can start here with reviewing the feedback. So it looks like primary referral reporting needs, we're going to need to be able to pull reporting by provider and or partner, but then also pulling by type of service, by month of service, by the specific career planner. So being able to see what those referrals look like per that career planner, and then also pulling by program year. And then also the ability to be able to export these. So if you're, grabbing a report within the system, being able to export it into an Excel spreadsheet. So some user stories have been created there. Let's see, another one that came up, and we have a user story in place for this too, is kind of connection to those different required WIOA partners, but also this sounds like it deals with co-enrollment as well. So being able to put some focus on co-enrollment reporting to make sure that you're getting accurate reporting there. So we did create a user story there to make sure it can come from, things like Title 1, Title 2, Title 3 to be able to properly track that. So we put a user story in place for gathering that information. So the next piece will be creating a story to make sure that it can then report on those things we'll be collecting. So that piece is in the works. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to come off mute or add any, additional info to this. Would love to hear it. So some additional feedback we received. Primary being able to pull report by partner versus to partner. Community agencies being pulled by county, career planner by office. So again, we're keeping all of those pieces in some future stories that we will be adding to the reporting in the dashboard. Okay, and then on the graph view of the report, I'm not sure what the referrals or customers will look like, or information will be gleaned from that. So that piece, one thing to be cognizant of, or just to be aware that we're adding some information here. So say this is all getting hooked up, but in here, so it's like we have 6 successful referrals, right? If I click into that, it will in the future, it's going to pull up my list of those 6 people that were successfully referred. Next being the warning section. Okay, I have 9 people in my dashboard. They're at a warning phase. Who are those people? What do I need to do? So same thing from like this list view here. So I've got a few people that are, referral received past 10 days. I need to go in and look at that list of people so that I can take the appropriate action, whether it's, attempting contact again, whether it is, maybe closing it out because they're no longer interested. So being able to maintain that data and keep that up to date. Okay. If there aren't any additional questions there, we can chat about the dashboard real quick. It sounds like not a whole lot of feedback here, mostly on the reports. And I think the dashboard will also be something that, as we go through and start building more reports, the dashboard will also start making itself more apparent of the different data points that need to be in there. But if any of you think of anything, definitely feel free to reach out to us of like, we would like to see XYZ from a dashboard. If we go back here right now, this isn't live data, but it's really breaking down some of the similar things we've seen. Okay, here's our top referral sources. We're referring a lot to organization A, B, C, D, and then those statuses as well. So if you're coming in here, you're able to see, we have a bunch of people that are in pending that we needed to check on. Who are those sources again? And then, referral over time. Maybe in the area we have a big event that happened that causes us to spike in March. What does that come from? What are those destinations of those referrals? So just keep in mind, this is what we have at the moment. And once we get some real data in here in real life situation, we'll be able to glean a lot more from this. But if anything else comes up that you all think of, definitely let us know. Okay, so now if there aren't any questions on the dashboard so far or any comments anyone wants to make, the next piece is that referral status report. So in conversations that we've had, referral status is something that is very important. So in terms of, if your career planners are working with a customer and they're sending referrals out, being able to understand, where those are at, did it get accepted? So especially if you're working with someone, on a consistent basis and referred them out to XYZ services, also being able to see, okay, you know what, I'm working with them on this, but I referred them to this. It looks like that's going well. So just kind of that holistic view of the customer. So being able to see those statuses of those that they send out. Let's see here. So a good comment we got from Jake is just around, if in this testing environment, I know we have some things that might not have data in it, but instead of being blank, having something like no data available tag. So we're going to make sure that that gets added in. So especially in, the real life production environment, that it would look like that as well. Like if there's no data available, that it wouldn't look like a blank screen that's not functioning. Okay, let's see. So this one, I think I just went over, but knowing the individual status of referrals. So whenever you're in that list view, like we talked about, instead of just being like, okay, great, I have 4 customers that are referral completed. What does that tell me? You could click into who those 4 are, who those 18 are that are past 10 days. So being able to go in and see some actionable data from that list and this list here around status. Okay, and it looks like Carla, I've got you on my list to see if you might be able to send me some of these reports um, that you do on a monthly basis. I think that would help us a lot in seeing a way that we could maybe have the system help produce that too.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind sending, and you can like extract any of the like PII data if you need to, like,
Yeah.
or add some fake data in there. Um, so that you're not emailing anything sensitive.
Okay.
But that would be helpful if you wouldn't mind sending that over to our team, and we can take a look at it and see how we can build that. And I'll definitely reach out to you if I have like follow-up questions, but that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Carla. um, but then I guess another thing to know here, are there specific ways you're using this type of monthly report that you make, Carla? If you don't mind sharing.
No, I do for all the customers that we do a referral for, I do it in an Excel spreadsheet that lists all the referrals for each person. And then it calculates how many referrals have went from agency to this agency, what are the different types of referrals that have happened, and I report those monthly to the AJC committee report and then also to our SWIB quarterly reports.
Okay. So that helps you kind of understand, who your top partners are, who are the servicing customers the most, those type of things, and having a good eye on that. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And if anyone else has any reports that they're making, however, small or, big they are to your process, I would definitely encourage you to send those over to us so that we can look at getting those built in. Because we want to ensure that the system we're building is going to add to functionality that you have and maybe help with some of these things versus, not having access to it. Okay, well, let me review a couple more of these down here. So it looks like these ones I went in and really just put that I acknowledged these comments were in here. So it looks like things were working correctly for this individual that tested. They were able to access things appropriately, use filters. When I used filters for list view, I think that goes back to the one we mentioned where maybe no data was available, but it looked blank, kind of like it wasn't functioning correctly. So we'll make sure that we get that, no data available type tag on those instances. Okay. Any additional comments from the group in terms of like the referral status piece? Anything you'd like to see or? Okay, well, I will move on to our referral services report. So this referral services report we put together is just kind of an initial report for you all to see, but that report really breaking down, what type of services you're sending out for, how often. So if we go into the system and look at referral services, it will break down for you, we're sending out X amount of referrals in the calendar year or this fiscal month around, childcare and family services, around workforce training. So you'd be able to break those down further and kind of understand where those are going. Maybe that comes from a specific event that happened in your local area, but really kind of get some data from that. And it also breaks it down. You've got your customers and then referrals. So that should be breaking down for you. Okay, of the 20 customers we saw, we actually sent out 47 separate referrals under that basic needs assistance category. So breaking down for you those different pieces and how many referrals within that category for how many customers. Okay. So it looks like those worked well. So the other items we had here, Kathy, I know we had a big discussion about this the last session, but really just focusing in on that being able to report on co-enrollment. So we're definitely taking the feedback given and starting to work on that reporting piece, which we will have a better view of, especially as we get that through development. And once we get, more eyes on this as well, once we get into the pilot process, being able to report more on those co-enrollment statuses. But I know that is being built and built out both within the referral system and better tracking, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Olivia, but being aligned with the IWDS 2.0 as well. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I met with Patty this morning on some questions. And those of you that utilize Airtable for the referral process, I'm going to be meeting with somebody tomorrow to just kind of get an idea of what types of reports are currently being used in Airtable so that we can make sure that that is something that, you're still having functionality within this system, within the referral system as well. But one of the big ones that came out of that conversation too was, maintaining that we have, the correct primary contacts at each organization so that that accurate data is there. I know that's been something that's come up throughout conversations of, like, this will all be wonderful. We just have to make sure the right people and the right contact information are receiving things. So that's something that we're taking into consideration as we build out reports as well. If there's any type of way to, on a regular basis, bring that primary contact, secondary contact at a service in front of you to make sure that those look correct, those contact informations. Okay. What else? Any other reporting needs that you all are kind of seeing right away, or what you're tracking, even, on your own, in your own spreadsheet? Okay. Well, if
Sorry, this
oh, go
is
ahead. Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
I didn't put my any of my notes in here. Sorry about that. We've had a lot of transitions at scale.
Oh,
It's been a little everywhere.
okay.
But something that I was thinking of that I think is interesting. I don't know if anybody else would see this as useful. But something we look at is how long between sent and first status update. Um, can really help us identify like, okay, who's getting overrun with referrals, or what's happening that's making it so long that this referrals life cycle is so long. Um, I think could be really helpful as like a timestamp of like referral sent, first status change, how long between sent and completed, um, is a helpful data point for reporting, like by organization even.
Okay. So similar to kind of like a time to fill report, like if they
Yeah.
sent it out X time, how long did it take to get it to be closed? And then
Yeah.
being able to break that down by like provider,
Yeah.
area, everything like that. Okay.
And with the co-enrollment, Kathy, Tracy, are you on here? It's not just Title One, Title Two. It would be for all four of the core partners, correct? Is Kathy on here?
Yeah, co-enrollment is for any WIOA core partner where the student is being served, client is being served jointly. So it's not just Title II and Title I, it's Title II and Title III, Title II and Title IV, is what I report out.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear because in the notes it just says 1 and 2. So I wanted to make sure and make that clear.
On this note, I had Title 1, 2, 3, 4, and then so this was from Michelle. So she said other services like
Okay.
TAMF, Perkins,
Okay. I had just
CSB,
seen the note
those
down,
type
I
of
guess,
things.
farther down, and it just had Title One and Title Two. So,
Oh no, you're good. Yep, that's one we had from the other week. Yep.
yep. And then I have a question. So I know that things are in progress of being corrected or updated or whatever. So when those updates happen, will we have a time period to go back and retest everything to see if there's more glitches?
Yes, absolutely. So you read my mind, Carla, because that is just to give you guys a preview of what we're headed into next, because we've kind of went through all the pieces sectioned out. So the next thing this month, our developers are focusing on getting a lot of that feedback into testing for you. So updates we've made to like the customer process, updates to sending a referral, updates to dashboards and reporting. So our next step is really to get you guys to do more of like a start to finish UAT. So we'll get that developed where you'll go in and instead of breaking it out like we did, you'll go in and be like, okay, yep, like here's this service, here's my new customer. I'm going to put them in, I'm going to send their referral, I'm going to respond to the referral, I'm going to go pull some reports. So it's going to be very much kind of going through that whole process on this next round to make sure you can see those different enhancements we have made based on feedback. And that'll also allow us to gather more. So go ahead, Olivia. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to expand on that a little bit. So we want to, instead of last time, we kind of had you guys, as we were building out each of the individual tools, you're kind of playing a couple different roles. You were sending referrals and then acting as the person who got it and accepting it. So our end-to-end UAT, we are going to be participating in that with you all, and we'll kind of have like scenarios set in place where you guys will be sending referrals. Like we'll designate a couple of like organizations we'll be managing that you can send them to, and then we'll also be sending them to you guys. Excuse me. So that you'll really just play your role, and we're going to kind of help facilitate that, for like acting as if we are other organizations sending and receiving from you guys, so you can test all of the tools in a more comprehensive way now that we have them built and that feedback in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Olivia. So our plan on that is to do kind of that end-to-end testing scenarios with, us also playing that role. Probably our first meeting the first week of December, so like 12/8. So this month our team's very focused on the development piece to be ready for that next kind of end-to-end UAT process. One thing that we'll also be focusing on in the coming weeks is just getting pilot planning going for you all to test this system in production with various partners in your areas. So when we talk about pilot, I don't want to throw too much at you guys at once, but we're going to be strategically looking at, okay, so if I'm running the pilot in my local area, I'm going to choose, a couple partners to pilot with versus piloting it with all of your partners at once. So kind of breaking that down and doing more of a live system test of this as well, and to get your feet wet in terms of rolling this out as well. So as part of that, we'll have a comprehensive pilot plan built out for you so that we're not just, throwing you to the wolves. So you'll have something to go from. And then we'll also have things like weekly office hours, surveys, and a pretty detailed checklist for you of being, quote unquote pilot ready. So just so you know, we'll be there to assist you and help through that pilot process when the time comes. But we're going to make sure that we have some intentional plans going into that so that you guys feel as prepared as possible as well. Okay, well, if there aren't any questions there, Natasha, do you want to take over for a little bit on the mock-up that you have that we've been working through, and we had a couple, additional questions we needed feedback on?
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to share my screen. So this is just one of the views that Cody is working on, one of our developers. And if you're in the referral system, you're still welcome to get into the referral system, just knowing that we'll be updating some of the, they'll be continuously working on making updates and pushing it out to the referral system, so we can do testing in preparation for your full walkthrough. He did go ahead and push out where there's the timeline piece. One of the next items he has on for this week is, really thinking through being able to easily navigate and find your incoming versus your outgoing referrals, and adding like visual cues here, I guess, or different areas where you can either search or these different tabs provide the different filters so you can easily access those referrals. One of the things that I would like to get your feedback on specifically is notifications. So when you think of notifications, you can, we have the original thought whenever we were, putting this together with the original group, was that we would have the referral primary contact and a referral secondary contact. And the referral primary contact would be the person, or whoever's identified as primary contact, would be the people that would receive notices. Let's just say, like, you have, the idea would be instead of like getting 15 notices a day, let's say if you got 15 referrals in a day, that maybe either like on a Tuesday and Thursday or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or maybe it's once daily at the end of the day or early in the morning, one of the days, that they would get a summary that says you have, 3 new referrals and 2 past due referrals or something like that. So it's a summary of over a given period of time, and they would receive, the primary contacts would receive those notifications more frequently than the secondary contact. So a secondary contact may receive maybe a weekly notice, let's say, of, you have 5 referrals that are past due, or you had, 15 referrals that came in this week. So they would get a summary, but it's more of a escalation process as opposed to just receiving the notices to, hey, remember, look into, you need to look at your um, referral system. So I guess there's 2 things here. One, what frequency or what types of things that do you need for a notification? So let's just say, is it if you don't respond or somebody else doesn't respond, um, either ingoing or outgoing, to referral within 3 days, you get a flag? Or is it like, what's the level of the different notifications? Is it after 3 days you should receive or have responded, moved on to the next level of some sort? Within the referral, what happens if the, if the referral hasn't been closed within 10 days? What happens if the referral hasn't been closed within 30 days? What are the different types of notifications that would be useful to you? No, I'll look in the chat. I don't know if anybody's put it in the chat or anything. Or what kind of notifications with your current systems do you get that you find helpful? In the mock-up, we have.
Excuse me. Currently, I mean, we have our own sort of system that kind of works, and basically every referral that's made, I get a copy of, so I have an idea of how many referrals are going. But that's a pain in the ass because trying to keep track of everybody who's even not ours. It would be much better if there was somewhere where that's all collected and just coming in a report rather than piecemeal where there's 2 or 3, and then you have a IDES RESEA workshop where they're doing 20 referrals, and then you have to go and check and make sure who it's getting referred to. So that's currently how it works, and I would like something way better than that.
Okay, so if we have anything, like a summary, would you think like a daily summary or like a Tuesday, Thursday summary of what's coming in? What is your recommendation? What would you like to see?
To me, weekly would be fine.
Weekly?
And then Emma put in the chat too, maybe new referrals twice a week, only if they're new, coming in a list or report rather than one at a time.
Well,
Which I think twice a week probably would be really good for Chicago area, given the volume maybe. Or is that why you're thinking twice a week, Emma?
Yeah, it might be. I think that might seem like a lot for other areas. But the expectation for referrals to be responded to in 2 to 3 business days, it's kind of like a nudge of,
Yeah.
making sure people are actually logging in every 2 or 3 days is kind of key if that's the response expectation.
Hey, Natasha, is there a way that people could customize that? And so if somebody just wanted it once a week, they could get it once a week. And then if, somebody else wanted it, 2 times a week or daily, they could do that.
It's like a subscription type thing.
Yeah.
Well, how much or how often what's the turnaround time that we're wanting our referrals to be answered in? Just to Emma's point, if we want them responded to or touched in 3 days, it would be scary if someone only was going to subscribe for, bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm. But we could have a default, like the default is weekly. I mean, I'm just throwing this out as an idea. The default could be weekly, but I want them more than once a week.
So there could be like a weekly's the
Minimum.
longest
Mhm.
option
Mm-hmm.
between. Okay.
I wonder if there's a way to integrate that with the dashboard of the referral status so that when that screen comes up, it, highlights you have these many that are overdue and highlight it, or using some kind of flagging system within that. So because that's, I imagine, the screen or the place that you're going to be going to more often working from.
Mm-hmm.
Than from a notifications status.
Oops.
And so if that comes up every time I go to it, it's, oh, gee, yeah, right, I got to get to that, and it's flagged so that they can go, let's clear that flag. Let's make sure that we know the status.
Yeah, on the dashboard, I have like a little, as far as the mockups are concerned, a response needed, they're past 10 days or attempting contact past whatever, 10 days.
So
and those would be links, so you could get to those referrals.
I think that those probably need to be higher on the information that, like, if there's past due information, I would want it to be like the first thing that they see. Like with an exclamation point type thing. So we're not.
Well, so we have a couple different things we could do. So one, we have the notifications right here. We can make that a default page as they come, into the system. So another thing to consider is, what is your default page? Is your default page where you are land on the page when you come into the system of where to search for customers? We could make the notifications the default instead of incoming. Or you could make something like this your default page, which is more about like reports that would link to different data. So I guess there's two things. Which one is the preference for the default entry point? If I can get this on here very well, we'll see.
I know as we were going through some of the other releases, the feedback was a lot of like, how do I go back to where I referred people? How do I go back to the ones that I sent? So is it more effective or helpful in your minds right now as we're testing for kind of your incoming of like, who do I need to respond to as an organization? And then if any of them go past due, it would go through like the notifications tab there, and or like, maybe last week was crazy and I didn't get to one in time. So like I get a, like 2 customers past due email that comes to me. And then I don't know, that would help you make sure like, oh yeah, I need to go in there since those people have flagged past due.
This is Carla, and for me, it would be the incoming referrals would be my priority. So that way I can see immediately what referrals I need to get, because I'm one-stop operator. So all the referrals come into me, and then I send them out to the whatever agency has been marked on the intake form. So for me, it's the incoming, so that way I can get them moved out and moved through.
I wonder if it depends on roles too, Kelly. Like a one-stop operator, a career planner, they're going to want to see those individual
Mhm.
Referrals, whereas maybe like an ED or like at the state level, we want to see like the breakdown.
So maybe like an ability to choose their default tab, maybe. So like, because if I'm a career planner, I'm probably going to be wanting to see like the outgoing tab, right? Because I'm sending somebody out to refer them to X services versus, as
Mhm.
Carla was saying, she's receiving some, so she needs to get them responded to.
And I think too, if you did it, even if you sent it, like even kind of like the way we do it now, I do it now is where you get it every one, as long as there's a identifiable sort of thing in the subject line, so that you can set up your email to have a folder that they all automatically just set a filter that they all go into that folder, and then you just check that every couple of days.
Okay.
All right, so for we have the notifications, so we'll have the notifications available from either one of these views. If you're on the dashboard, again, you'll be able to see the different notifications that are applicable. We can put these, we can, try to kind of put these mockups together so you could kind of say, oh, blues with the incoming, greens with the outgoing, flags for the notifications. So we can match up that terminology for notifications. And then, but I guess I needed a little bit more detail if we're going to set up at least like the standard, like the 80% of people that are out there, we'll do the 80-20 rule. What the 80% of notifications, like what type are the notifications? So you have to, from what I have heard, I think multiple times, is that referrals need to be referrals need to be responded to within 3 business days. So once it's sent, then we can check for a received. We have let's see here if I can get to a person. That's a different hold on a second. These are my test people. See what I got going on. I ain't testing here. I'm not seeing my. It was in here earlier, I swear. Cody must have pushed another thing out. I was trying to look for my timeline. Because I have a timeline in here. Let me. I wanted to show you the timeline, but it looks like it's Cody must have pushed something out, so it's not showing there anymore. Anyway, yeah, he's pushed something out because I can't do anything with that right now.
Do you
Well,
have a
we have
screenshot of it?
yeah, I do, but here's
okay.
the hold on. This is what he had pushed out earlier today, but where we have, not started, referral received, attempting contact. We're actually adding a part in here. So you have not started and sent. So when it's sent, then it'll indicate when it's received, attempting contact. So if we're talking about a notification, let's just say this is sent to referral received. That to me sounds like, from what I hear from people, no, it should be done within 3 business days. What about the rest of this process? What kind of time frame or notification is needed? Is it when it's closed? Like, is there a notification that, hey, this is closed? Because remember, closed is like they're not going to get the service, and it has like the reason why. Or do you need a notification when it's been completed? Like, yes, they were enrolled. Or is there a time frame that's between referral received and referral completed or closed that's needed to as a flag to say, hey, you need to follow up on this? Or as long as they receive the referral, but maybe they received the referral within 3 days, they attempted contact within 3 days, they referrals in progress within 3 more days. Are there any time frames that they either have to be completed by or closed by?
I have a question that's kind of a sidebar question. So I'm the middle person. Referrals come into me. I send the referrals out, and I'm assuming that's what all one-stop operators do. I don't know that for a fact. So in this process, if I send a referral to, say, from John A. Logan Adult Ed to Doors, who's going to get the information that the referral has been received and the following information? Because it shouldn't be me, it should be the adult ed program. Does that make sense? How are we going to ensure if there's a person sending out the referrals that the original person who sent the referral is going to receive the updates and the verifications?
Anybody who has access to the system will be able to see it. So if you're sending a referral and then the other group, the other group indicates that they receive it, it's going to update in the system automatically.
But will the original agency that did the referral, will they also be able to see it, since I'm the one who does actual referral, but it's coming from a different agency? I'm just the middle person. Is the original agency going to be able to see this information? Because honestly, once I do the referral, I'm kind of out. And it's in between the two agencies otherwise. So are both of those agencies going to be able to see that information? And it's more the original agency. Are they going to be able to see this that's been sent through me? How do I make sure they can see it?
So if, let's say we have agency ABC that wants to send it, you're the middle person that would have be able to send it on behalf of the agency. So whenever you say, I'm going to enter Natasha Telger, and I'm going to send it on behalf of agency ABC to this other agency, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So anybody who has access to ABC would be able to see the status of their referrals, even though you did it. If you have been given access to send it like on their behalf for them.
So it would show up on their dashboard, not mine.
Yes. Like your dashboard would be, you'd have to filter it by, if you have access to multiple agencies, then you would see everybody, or you would filter it down to whichever agency you want to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah. I'm just worried about the original agency be able to follow their referrals that have been made.
Yeah, so whenever you're sending it, you designate the referring agency. So that would be ABC. They have a primary contact, somebody who's going to be notified. They'll also have access. So you would obviously set it as them and not you,
not me,
as the referring agency and primary contact. So then when it's triggered, that agency that was identified as the referring with the primary contact and all of that would then get that notification.
So would I get any notification since I'm not at the primary person listed?
Yeah, I mean, you can have more than one person listed. I mean, if you wanted, it's just it depends on how it's set up. So if you had you listed as a primary person for them as well, then you would get the notifications.
Okay.
But I think, Carla, you're wondering if you're doing it on behalf of someone, are you getting notifications about it versus that's what you're wondering, right? Like, do you want to get notifications, or you're like, no, I would not like to get those?
I think especially in the beginning, I would like to be, so I can if I need to do some follow-up, with
Mhm.
making sure the flow is happening, since I know which ones are coming and going. So yeah, I think that would be helpful just to
Okay.
help monitor things.
Okay, because she should have the visibility of that, of doing that on behalf of someone. She'd still have visibility
Yeah,
to
most
for follow.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about defining the attempting contact and what that generally looks like for people? Because so I'm the one-stop operator also. And so as I look through our current reporting system, and I see literally hundreds of emails sent to client, which is a templated thing. And so we began looking at an automated response. So when an applicant comes in and they request specific services, that we acknowledge to them, here, dear client, you've indicated that you want A, B, and C. And whoever provides the service for A, B, and C gets the referral. And then their response often, in fact, hundreds of times a month, is the contact is by email. I sent an email and said, hey, you're interested in this. I'm the person that handles this, and here's our website, and you can get logged into, or here's our whatever that is, whatever their answer is. And so we then looked at what those common responses were. I guess I'm getting to is there any automation in this process or contemplated in this process, because it impacts the question you're asking of how many days is it before there's a response. And in our case, we're looking at, somebody's essentially sending an email that could be automated. If I request SNAP or TANF, here's the response. It's always the same from the same core partner, and it goes to them. And so we're tracking an activity that's essentially could be automated. So I wanted to define on this system what is attempted contact, and do you anticipate that same kind of response? Because I'm looking at where we can automate, where it makes sense to, so that these professionals who are in career guidance and counseling and things like that, that their time spent in meaningful connection of one-on-one person, a conversation over the phone, or even back and forth with an email, but not in essentially templated automated responses.
Referral received. I mean, we can tell whenever somebody's opened it and they just indicate that they've received the referral. I mean, right now it's defined as receiving partners trying to make the contact with the customer. It looks 3 attempts required.
Yeah,
Right.
so yeah, I get that, but from a practical standpoint, from these people, from you all, who are living this during the day, um, from a practical standpoint, could if those two were automated, received a referral. Hey, I sent a referral. How did I do that? I sent them an email. Said, here's the person, right? And they looked it up and said, oh, I'll reply back, or I'll send our templated response. Hey, dear client, I received your name. I'm the person who handles this. Here's how you engage with me. Those are automated responses. So we're tracking how many days it takes to do that. And I look at it and say, in the business world, in the world as we're seeing it, those functions could be automated.
Mhm.
And so it eliminates having anybody after 3 days, because it would essentially be automatic. And two, the client immediately receives information on the associated agency core partner with a predetermined directive, direction that could be worked out, by, wordsmiths who are good at that, right? And
Right.
so, what will the information tell us about real meaningful activity relative to serving a client versus busy work? And I don't mean to, please don't let me, I don't want to offend anybody, but I just, that's what we've been looking at in WIOA 6, or LWIA 6 rather.
Yeah, and I guess, Natasha, why can't we automate?
Well, I mean, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna send you're saying like you're gonna email them? What if you call them? I mean, I don't know what the
Yeah.
attempting contact is like, and I don't know when they are waiting for next steps or registered. I mean, you could literally go referral received and then contact them and say completed or closed. You don't necessarily have to even go through these 2 steps. Whatever the indicator is, I mean, if you're saying that we attempt contact and we send a message, and once they send a message to this person, then what? So then I guess if they send a message to them or send an email to the person, what if they call them?
And what I was hearing from David, in order to be able to automate the attempting contact, um, the system would need to know a couple more things. Like, so for every service that you could be referred for, that organization would have to say, here's the email that would be sent for this service versus this service versus this service to the customers, and like the contact email for them to reply back, or phone number. And I think Natasha's kind of getting right at the point too. Not every organization might have an automated email. It might be a call process. So we would need to set something up on the service finder where the organizations could further define those like templated automated responses that would go out. And then we also need like additional work to go into that, because what if the email fails because they gave a wrong email? Then you need to flag that so they know to call them or work with them. So there are ways we can automate it, but we need to set a couple things up on the service finder for people to be able to further define that automation for the system to be able to trigger it off. Because every message, it would be customized for each area, for each service, what that automation would be. It sounds like what you're saying, David, if you have like a list of emails you send for every type of service, how you would engage somebody with their next steps.
Yeah, so we actually kind of mapped that out. What identified this was, so we have an input process, and here's this client, and they filled out this form, and it indicated that they wanted, and I'll use the example of SNAP benefits or Medicare, certifications, and help writing a resume. And so in that case, for us, it would be the workforce development division for our county, who is at the WorkNet Center, Department of Human Services, and College of DuPage. So under that system, in that case, all those partners would get the referral, and the client's end is, then I got 3 emails, one with, .org, one with .edu, one with .gov, and I've just confused them considerably because they contacted WorkNet DuPage, and they were, and so everybody's going in their different direction. So we looked at saying, okay, so let's send us, we know the information that they wanted. So we send them a single email that says, dear client, you've indicated that you need these 3 things. And so the process then is, here's the automated response, essentially, but it's into a single email that says, those Medicare or SNAP benefits are administered through Department of Human Services, and you will get a contact from someone from DHS. And the certifications are handled by our partner, College of DuPage. So you will receive some information from here. Here's a link to their site. And this other thing, we have classes available at blah, 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 right? So it's a single response to the client, and those referrals go out at the same time to 3 different clients. And since we already know that the response from those clients is an email, there's some that will make a call, for CAPS, for example, our CSEP program, Senior Community Service programs. They're going to get a call, right? But by and large, the immediate response to a client coming in is an email. And so can we streamline that, not confuse the client, give them the information they want, inform them about what the process is so that that helps clarify it. But that's kind of where I'm heading. And as I'm looking at this, the referral process and saying, okay, so referral received, that's from partner to partner, whatever, and then attempted contacts. And if by and large, and in our case, it's well over 90%, will get an email. That is the response. That is the attempted contact.
But that attempted contact in this scenario would be DHS telling you that they've contacted this person that you've said that you've sent the referral for.
Right. But their response will be an email to that client. And I know that before I sent it to them. So if that's the case, and I know they're going to use a templated email, why wouldn't I do that automatically?
You would send DHS's templated email to the customer?
Yeah, I mean, it could be directly from them. If we in fact know that that's the response, that they're going to send an email, why wouldn't we automate that process for them? It could come from them. I mean, why not automate that process? So then it's only a follow-up. They're only following up. You know, if the person did not respond, they can follow up. They can then make the phone call or they can send an email. But now it's, you know, all of those first 3 steps, once the client was identified and their need was identified, we know all those next 2 steps. We know who we're going to refer it to, and we know exactly what they're going to do with that referral, how they're going to contact the client, and it's through email.
Yeah, I definitely think we can continue to move the system into allowing for more automation, but I think we'll need to dig deeper into like how to build that out into the service finder to allow like a space for DHS to say when we receive a referral.
Yeah, I would think so too. Whenever
Then
they enter
this.
the referral into the, well, when they enter their program into the service finder, since you might have more than one program, you know, you could say for this program, send this type of automated response. For this one, send this other one.
And then we could automate that like attempted contact after the system like auto sends that and flags it as true received. We can even flag when the customer opens those email, like clicks in the emails. So that's definitely a route that we can explore to open up on how can we get rid of everybody copying and pasting an email template once they get a ping on their computer.
Right.
I think we'll need to dig into it to make sure we understand it. And I think we can build it flexible enough so that, you know, you have those organizations, it's a copy and paste. You might have smaller organizations where they're getting them and they're getting on the phone to figure it out. And so it can be a feature that can be selected as it makes sense, where other organizations might not want to build the service finder out with some of that automation stuff.
Right. So
Sure.
it could be customized by each organization
Sure.
and the service finder and for
Awesome.
each program. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I was saying great feedback, Dave. And I think we can definitely work with that a lot more. I think there's just lots more information we would have to think through in terms of the requirements of that, what ifs, things like that, that we'd want to make sure we explore and test before adding that level of automation is kind of what I feel like we're the consensus. But definitely you make a great point there.
Yep. And so just, I guess we can follow up with everyone to see if you have any of your own like internal, I guess, whatever your internal like notifications are, as far as if there's any time frames or what, I don't know the best way to collect this, if it's like a survey or, maybe set up a page in that UAT document where we ask a few questions and you guys can, put your responses in there. I'm not sure what the best approach is for that, but, um, we'd like to have a better understanding of what types of notifications are going to be useful to you.
Yeah, maybe we could do a survey to kind of collect that, similar to how we do in IWDS when we're gathering some things like this, that we could send out to everybody to kind of give us your thoughts on, time frames, things like that, in terms of notifications, emails.
And I think if any places have like written policy, or even if it's procedural items in place that dictate those timelines and the various stages they go through, I think that would be really helpful to get in the feedback that we'll send stuff out for.
Yes.
I have a question on a sort of different topic a little bit here. Because I know like Carla was talking about the way that they do theirs, with where she's basically the traffic cop, where everything comes through her and then she makes sure the referral goes to the right place. In this system, is that going to be possible, or is the referral just going to go directly from, Bob at agency A to Sue at agency B, and then there is no sort of centralized traffic cop here?
You can have a centralized traffic cop, I would say. But, and then again, we can explore the best ways to get this set up. But if you have your, one-stop person and there's 3 different organizations, that person would be, I guess a primary or a secondary contact for each of those. And so as they're putting in the customer and then you go to select an organization, you could select from the organizations that you have access to. This test person only has access to one. And you can even narrow it down to like a program that's being offered.
Joel, are you trying to work me out of a job? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I'm trying to work one less thing that I have to do.
I think if there was a way, I mean, I don't know how one-stop operators operate throughout the state, but I think if there was a way in the system to mark who you are as a default, and then be able to put the primary contact and organization in otherwise, and just knowing that that information's going to come back to the one-stop operator and the person making the referral. Is there a way to set that as where we could set it as a default? That I'm the one-stop operator. And like I said, I don't know what other one-stop operators, if it's all the same throughout the state, or if I'm unique the way we do it down here in LWO at 26, or what. I mean,
Yeah,
25.
we
don't
have,
know.
sorry, we have, right now we have the, when you are in the service finder and then you set up your contacts, right now we have like the, service locator, primary and secondary contacts, and we have the referral primary and secondary contacts, but we could add referral one-stop operator, as a contact, a type of contact, and then
And I guess
adjust
that's once this comes into play, I guess that's a question that's going to be for our AJC committee to see if a one-stop operator is even needed anymore.
And
I don't know. I think in legislation we're supposed to have someone, but is it, really necessary anymore? I don't know.
Well, Emma, you're on the call, aren't you, as
Hi.
OSO? Even though they have a system, I would say that a required partner to keep those numbers moving and people moving is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, we are set up very different than you. We don't assign referrals from between partners. The actual partner point of contact receives it, but we're monitoring those referrals for our area and making sure that partners are responding to referrals, etc. So it'll definitely look different area to area, but yeah, I mean, it could be an interesting conversation with
Yeah.
the OSOs across the state too, of just like how can we pull all the best practices from how the OSO has helped with referrals across the state and bring that together, and have it complement the system could be helpful.
Yeah, I'm also the one-stop operator, and so in my mind, our obligation as the one-stop operator is to be able to, one, aggregate all the information that comes through the center and monitor the more um, granular kind of information to monitor the partners. So it almost sounds like we don't fit the match of a primary or secondary, that there's some other things that the core partners, individuals, are not going to be looking at and not going to be reported. They're going to report their activity, but they're not reporting their partner's activity. And so I think maybe there is something, and we can talk offline of this. I'd love to talk with the other one-stop operators, but there are some consistencies in the type of information that we need to be able to gather and to be able to inform our continuous improvement process. And we can't do that without access to all the information, no matter who's making the referral. So that may be something we have to look at a little differently. But for any one-stop operator, I definitely want to talk to you and see what you're doing and learn from you as well.
Well, in OET, we definitely want to be involved in those conversations too, so we can ensure that if it's policy that's needed or technical assistance, we can support the field and OSOs to have all the best practices as well.
Yeah, and I think Kelly, we work with OET and maybe have a conversation with the one-stop operators about their various reporting needs, to kind of open that up for discussion while we're able to kind of listen in and understand those needs, and then we can maybe gather some information from them that they're currently using for their reporting if we don't already have it, to see how we can incorporate that into what we can put together in a system when we have those individuals referring across organizations.
Mhm. Okay.
No, and no, Carla, I'm not trying to take you out of a job.
It's all right. I get it.
And to make sure, I know we're running close to time, to make sure we're kind of level setting here. I think there are some rule stuff we can do now, to help with, multiple people wanting notifications, with the contacts in the system finder as it stands. And then we've talked about automation, and then the OET, like further refining some like OET data, or I'm sorry, not OET, one-stop operator like views and data that we can like aggregate. Those are conversations we need to continue having as we continue building this like first version of the referral system, and continue to getting it tested and built and piloted while we're having those enhancement feature conversations, so that we can continue to move this forward and get this further tested in a pilot, so we can flag any other items that we're wanting to address before the full go live of the system, because we know this is something all the local areas are really interested in having, referral tools out there. So we don't want to delay that too much when we know we can continue to have conversations and enhance it with even more capabilities on top of what we're already doing. So we're going to definitely continue those having those sessions as we continue to move forward with, we have UAT on the 17th, right, Kelly? To look
For
at
the
some
full,
features, not for the full one. I
yes.
know the full one's
Oh
in
yeah, some
December, but we
features on
still
the
have
17th.
another feature set UAT that we'll continue moving forward with. And this is all part of the process. As we get this further refined, we find areas we know we can enhance and improve upon. And that's part of continuing to look at it and engage everybody in here. So this is just the natural evolution of getting this rolled out. But I want to make sure we like level set and everybody is on the same page on continuing forward with UAT as we continue to have some of our other conversations we flagged today.
Mhm. I think, Olivia, there was only one other question. I know we've been in the chat around integration with like texting capabilities. So I know that's something we've been talking through, but I know there's a lot that goes into text capabilities. So I didn't know if you wanted to speak to kind of what that process looks like right now to address the question in the chat.
Yes, we are currently working. So for IWDS 2.0, we are looking at integrating some text capabilities, some automated texting capabilities into the system. We can explore what that would look like for text messaging. When what we found is if we're using it for like automation of messages, it's much more streamlined than like some other kind of like back and forth texting and marketing texting. So that we're kind of taking our first step at like automated text messaging with IWDS 2.0. That's currently something we're researching and opening up. You have to set a bunch of stuff up in order to do that. So it's something we can also look at integrating with the referral system as well, where it makes sense and can help move notifications and actions forward. So it's definitely an option. Any other questions, comments?
My final one is, this is all around job seeker. Is there a mirrored platform for the business service units? Or is that something that we're not working on?
Are you talking about the types of services you could refer for?
Yes. So on the business side, for the employer side, for services that they need, or is
Gotcha.
we're focused
Yeah.
on the job seeker right now. Yeah.
Yes, we're focused on the job seeker. We have an EBS project going, and we're currently building that out for some employer service work. That will be housing a lot of that stuff. Are you involved in the EBS stuff, David?
Yeah, as a one-stop operator, we serve both sides. So,
Yeah.
so yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's where those kinds of services are going to be tracked. Would have to connect with Dee on all the ins and outs of that one. I know enough to be dangerous, so I won't say too much. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, it sounds like Kelly's going to be getting information out to folks to collect some additional feedback from what we've talked about today. Kelly, Natasha, anything else?
No, I don't think so right now. I'll work on getting kind of a survey put together so we can gather some additional info just around dashboard and things like that so we can survey the group. And then thank you guys for hanging out a little bit longer than usual today. I know you all are very busy, but this is super impactful for us to be able to build a system that's truly going to serve, your needs and your daily work. So thank you guys.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thanks all.
everybody.
Mm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.